Hey, aloha everybody. Welcome to live Q&A here on Trauma Recovery University. My name is Athena Moberg and I come here every week and I hang out with all of you guys here in the adult survivor of childhood abuse community, specifically childhood sexual abuse, narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, you name it. We come here and we hang out live. And I answer your questions and we just have open discussion and we support one another, and that happens here every week. So for all of you on Roku and YouTube Live, thank you so much for all of the thumbs up and for the shares and for all the 5-star reviews on Roku. And I'm just so you know, I'm broadcasting here on Periscope and up on Facebook Live as well. So I have awesome volunteers. Matt and Dawn are behind the scenes and they're making sure that all of your questions get answered or get relayed to me so that I can answer your questions. So last week, if you joined us, you know that we are ramping up and sort of preparing for World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, which is every year on June 1st. The very first time I ever hosted a summit was here in 2015, and it was for the Healing Narcissistic Abuse Virtual Summit. And Richard Grannon, the Spartan Life Coach, came and he was one of our guest speakers. And then Bree Bonchet, who's an author and a licensed clinical social worker and a group forum leader, came and shared as well. And that was somewhat of a hit. And we had a couple thousand people watch that, and it's 4.5 hours long. And for a couple of thousand people to watch that, 4.5 hours, it's pretty amazing. So we, Bobby and I, here who started this YouTube channel, we recorded a video on the after effects of narcissistic parents, adult survivors who grew up in a home where there were one or more narcissistically abusive caregivers. Hi, Heather. I'm so excited you're here. And actually, Heather shared some really valuable information from a trauma conference she just attended. So I'm really excited to share some of the things that she learned from, and I always say his name wrong. It's not Dr. Teicher. I think it might be, maybe it is Dr. Teicher. Maybe I'm saying it right. Maybe it's Teicher. Anyway, he was one of the speakers at the trauma conference. I'm going to be sharing some valuable information there. So tonight's topic, just if you guys haven't seen that video, that's fine. It's here on our channel. It was from a couple of years ago, and it's titled Healing Narcissistic Abuse Virtual Summit 2015. Again, it's 4.5 hours. It's crazy, but we've received hundreds of emails and just people saying, wow, I had light bulb moments. Wow, I really needed to hear that. And that video, well, first the narcissistic parents video that Bobby and I did almost 3 years ago is what prompted this sort of Dr. Teicher, yes, I pronounced it right, is what prompted us to start digging into the after effects of emotional abuse and specifically narcissistic abuse, which is a thing. And we weren't very well versed in it a few years ago when we recorded that video. In fact, if you watch our narcissistic parents video, there's like 11,000 views. I'm certain that at least half of them, if not most of them, people are laughing going, these girls don't really know very much about narcissistic abuse. Because it was just something we're not very well versed in the topic. Well, we started delving deeper. I started purchasing books. I started attending webinars. I started going to conferences. I started becoming more well versed and knowledgeable on the topic, and began subscribing to YouTube channels, began reaching out to experts in this particular topic, reached out to Bree Bonchet, read one of the articles that she wrote, and it was very moving, and it was eye-opening, and it was for a lot of people very transformational. So hey, hi ED2 Inspire. I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome to Periscope. And thank you, by the way, for sharing that video earlier today. I really, really, really appreciate it. So yeah, it was just really eye-opening for us. And so I reached out to Bree Bonchet and I asked her if she would be interested in collaborating with me and sort of speaking at the Narcissistic Abuse, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse Virtual Summit, the first of its kind, like there had never been one done. And she's like, absolutely, I would. And so that kind of sparked just even more. And she already had a blog that was quickly growing. And the blog she started was actually just for therapeutic reasons, just to heal from her own narcissistically abusive interpersonal relationship in adulthood, not narcissistic parents. But of course, personality disordered people, as we know, they can exist. They interact with us. They can be bosses, coworkers, friends. It can be a parent, it could be a sibling, it could be an aunt, an uncle. There are just many different interpersonal relationships that obviously we have, and any one of those can be someone who is personality disordered. Well, the after effects, the damaging after effects specifically of narcissistic abuse are mind-blowing, and where people are just questioning their reality, questioning their sanity. And it's something that stays, and it makes its way into the core of your being, and it damages your core beliefs about life, your worldview, like we discussed last week. And it's really damaging. And so we decided to start delving deeper, reading more, studying more. Again, I mentioned like just attending webinars and conferences and reading books and just becoming educated on the topic. Well, after that particular, thank you so much for all the hearts on Periscope, you guys. I'm telling you, YouTube needs to up their game on like beautiful little ways to like interact during live video. When we started delving deeper into this topic, it became very, very clear that we needed to continue to open up forums. And what Bree was doing, if you want to check out Bree's work, you can go to freefromtoxic.com. The work is mind-blowing. The space that we're in here, where we're not sensationalizing psychopathy or you know, calling everybody in the world a narcissist. But if you haven't subscribed to perhaps Lisa Romano's channel or Richard Grannon's channel, or if you haven't heard of Sandra Brown, these are people that if you have incurred narcissistic abuse, I highly recommend that you familiarize yourself with these authors, these speakers, these practitioners, these experts, so that you will know how to heal and the inner workings of what has gone on, and the mind muckery, and just the psychological warfare that really goes on in narcissistic abuse. So that's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight. Typically every single week we show up, we do live Q&A here on this channel for the abuse survivor community. A lot of times the topics are very specific to childhood sexual abuse. What we found is that if someone endured childhood sexual abuse in the home, among a family member or a loved one that was in the home, the likelihood of the person that perpetrated the childhood sexual abuse onto the survivor who's here hanging out watching this channel, the likelihood of that person being narcissistically abusive, perhaps diagnosed or undiagnosed with psychopathy, antisocial personality disorder, borderline, someone that is predatory. The likelihood of the childhood sexual abuse happening by a personality disordered individual, the percentage is way, 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 way high if the abuse happened in the home. Now, if your childhood sexual abuse happened outside the home, and perhaps it was a pastor, it was an uncle, it was a grandpa, it was a neighbor, it was something that happened outside the home, perhaps this video tonight isn't going to be as helpful for you. But share this with someone you love. Share this. This is a huge deal, you guys. There are 158 million people that are affected by narcissistic abuse here, just right now, just present day. So, hey, Adrenaline Junkie, thank you so much for joining my Periscope. Yay! I'm so excited you're here. So, all you guys up there on Facebook, I'm really excited you're here as well. The writing is so small. I think I see Shy Sharon. Hi, Sharon. I think that's you. I'm squinting. But so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, guys. And I am so happy you're here. So we're talking about the invisible wounds of narcissistic abuse and emotional abuse tonight. So what I would love to do is share with you guys a little bit of what is going on in the narcissistic abuse community and what we're doing to serve the community of people who are reeling and spinning from narcissistic abuse. So in a couple weeks, we're going to be, World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, by the way, is June 1st every year. This is the second annual, and this is the second annual virtual summit that we're doing in honor of healing narcissistic abuse, healing from narcissistic abuse. Thank you so much for retweeting. Thank you so much for inviting your followers. Thank you so much. Thank you for, just thank you for all of your support, for the hearts. Thank you for all of it, you guys. You guys are amazing. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share just a little bit here. I had a little screen share that I was going to be sharing with you guys, and here we go. And then I'm gonna actually get right to your questions once I do this screen share here. I also wanted to share the video. I shared a little bit over in the YouTube chat, the live chat. In the very, very beginning of the chat, I was sharing that what we're doing tonight is we're doing like, if my wounds were visible, and then filling in the blank. Hashtag if my wounds were visible. Hey, Shy Sharon, I'm so excited to see you on Periscope as well. You're sort of like in two places at once. It's amazing. So what I did is I shared hashtag if my wounds were visible. And for me personally, it was if my wounds were visible, maybe the police would have taken me seriously when I was sharing with them what was going on in my home when I was a child. If my wounds were visible, maybe the school counselor would have done more instead of, you know, calling my parents. If my wounds were visible, maybe I would have been rescued. Maybe my dad would have rescued me. Maybe I would have been worth saving. If my wounds were visible, my family, a lot of my family members would have been in prison. So, hey, it's so good to see you, Iskandra. I hope I said your name right. I am well. Thank you, Eskandar Masood. Masood. I hope I'm saying it right. Thanks for being here. I'm broadcasting on, oh, hi, 7107 Lily. 70107 Lily. This is my 4th time on Periscope. So if my wounds are visible, no one would wonder why. Oh, I missed it. It went away. Dang it. So I shared if my wounds were visible, perhaps I would have been worth rescuing. Perhaps the police would have done something sooner. Perhaps I would have been rescued when I was an infant instead of struggling for decades. And hi, Michelle. I'm so excited to meet you. Great to have you here. If my wounds were visible, perhaps I would have been rescued when I was an infant and I wouldn't have struggled for decades with my sanity. And you know, just trying to grasp onto my sanity, just trying to, you know, keep it together, Athena, keep it together. You have a child to raise, you have a job to go to, you have a life to live, you have all these relationships you need to sort of manage, and you have all these people to please and all these family members to try to bow down to. And, you know, it was just so exhausting, so crazy. And it was just really kind of a ripoff. So, so what I would like to do, oh, you guys, over on freefromtoxic.com, Bree just posted a new blog post. If my wounds were visible, I would be in the ICU, Shy Sharon says. Yes. Simi says, if my wounds were visible, no one would wonder why I'm not over it at age 48. Yeah. Hey, welcome, Identity Dis. It's so good to see you. Is that Jess? It might be Jess. If it is, hi. And if it's not, hi. Okay, so I'm going to share this screen share with you guys super duper quick. And then I want to share really quick, I want to share a video with you super briefly. So I hope you guys can see this. All right, so over on WNAAD.com, World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day.com. Hey, it's so good to see you, Jess. Then you'll see that Bree Bonchet and myself, we are partnering up. We're coming together to share a message of hope. 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 Big fat hope. We want to share hope. So on June 1st, we're going to be live all day, just different places, YouTube Live, Facebook, Roku, Periscope, Twitter. And then plus, we're going to be sending emails out. We're doing all these interviews, these pre-recorded interviews with different experts, and we're going to deliver those to you via email during the entire month of June. Hi, Sarah. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the hearts, you guys. So during the entire month of June, we are going to be sharing those pre-recorded expert interviews with you in your email box. And when you sign up over on WNAAD.com. And I know that there are 1,700 and something of you that have subscribed to my email, like from No More Shame Project and Trauma Recovery University, and you're already signed up. And I'm going to be sending you all an email and just updating you on everything. And hopefully that's okay. It's on narcissistic abuse. It's not on childhood sexual abuse. But I mean, if I get 1,700 and something of you upset with me for sharing about Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, I'm going to be super bummed. So I just hope it's okay that I share the information with you. So for World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, Bree Bonche and myself are partnering up, and we're going to be sharing a message of hope. And Richard Grannon is going to stop by. Sandra Brown's going to stop by. I have, there's a couple of these other YouTubers that have reached out, actually, and they're going to be stopping by. I'm so excited. Lisa Romano is doing an interview with us. We're interviewing all these different doctors and people that have studied neuroscience, and it's just going to be amazing. Hey, Simi's all signed up. Good job, Simi. High five. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this, you guys. It's really amazing. So if I can find this video really quick, I hope I can find this video. If I cannot, I'm going to be super bummed. Here we go. Okay. I think I have found the video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing this screen share. I'm going to say hi to you guys over there on Roku and on YouTube Live. And I know Facebook Live, you guys don't have all the fancy screen shares. And then thank you for all the hearts on Periscope, you guys. You guys are so awesome. I feel so loved. Oh my goodness. So you guys don't have the fun screen shares. So what I want to do is I want to turn up the volume here. And I'm hoping you guys can hear this video. I'm going to screen share the video. And just to prompt a conversation. We're having an important conversation tonight, you guys. If my wounds were visible, fill in the blank. Like what would people know? What would they finally know? What do you wish they would know? Like parents, siblings, loved ones, people that have told you to get over it. Like a lot of times there are no like bruises or scars or scrapes, your hair's not lit on fire. You know, you're not in the ER over emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse, and other types of abuse. So if your wounds were visible, fill in the blank, right? So I'm going to do this screen share. I'm hoping you guys can see this. I'm hoping it works. And tell me if this does work. Here we go, you guys. You are not still invisible here. Galatians, you're not invisible. I see you. Here we go. I'm going to press. I'm just trying to multitask too much. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if I'm not being as attentive as I need to be. Goodness. I'm going to press play now, guys. Here you go. This is the conversation we're having right here.
If my wounds were visible, the family court system would view narcissistic abuse the same as it views physical abuse.
If my wounds were visible, you would cringe at the amount of damage behind my smile.
If my wounds were visible, everyone would learn the warning signs and red flags of narcissistic abuse in high school.
If my wounds were visible, you'd understand why it's taken me so long to heal. You'd be amazed that I have survived.
If my wounds were visible, you would understand that abuse isn't always physical.
If my wounds were visible, my teachers would have protected me and called Child Protective Services.
Me too.
If my wounds were visible, could you still look at me and tell me that it wasn't that bad and that I could just get over it?
If my wounds were visible, maybe the police would have helped me and my children instead of believing him.
If my wounds were visible, he'd be in prison.
If my wounds were visible, you wouldn't recognize me, but you would finally, hopefully, recognize narcissistic abuse.
World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, June 1st. Hashtag if my wounds were visible. WNAAD.com. Shout out to Jamie, Kelsey, Griffin, Monica, Heather, BJ, Janelle, Ann, Kendra, and Jerica for being so brave and being just standing there and sharing their truth so that they could be on that video. That video made me cry too, Simi, the first time I watched it. It did. It made me cry. And then this video, I just want you to know, was produced by Brie Bonchet and a colleague of hers named Nid Collins, and who's also the director. And then the production assistant is Jerica Trujillo. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jerica is also doing a whole bunch of behind the scenes work on the WNAAD.com sort of writing of the copy and just sharing the message. If everyone's wounds were visible, we would stand by and do nothing. That's not true. Who wrote that? Maybe it's we wouldn't stand by and do nothing. Maybe that's what you meant. Maybe I read it wrong because it goes away so fast. Goodness. Well, I just... All right. Here, you guys. Okay, so what do you think? If your wounds were visible, I want to share. I want to hear your voice. Yes, we would not stand by. We would not stand by and do nothing. You're right, Heather. And really quick, I want to share an email that Heather sent me, you guys, super fast. I hope it's okay that I share this email, Heather, with everybody. Neuroscience information on emotional abuse manipulation. You guys, Heather just went to this this trauma conference up in Canada that I was supposed to attend, and Matt Pappas was supposed to attend, but Matt enrolled in school because he's becoming a trauma recovery coach, and I had to sign papers because we were selling our home. Thank you for all the hearts on Periscope, you guys, and thanks for all you peeps up on Facebook Live. You guys are just rock star amazing. I love you. So we didn't get to attend this conference with Heather, so I've sort of like pinky promised in a way that I was going to go next year, and I'm kind of hoping that Matt will go next year too. And then I know that there's another gal in our community named Monique, and she's going to be going really soon. She's going in a, if my wounds were visible, nobody would tell me I shouldn't cry when it hurts. Exactly. Yes, you guys, share your truth, share your heart. So there's this gal in our community, her name's Monique, and she's going to this conference hosted by Lori Gill, which I'm trying to get her to speak at our summit. I have a call with her this week. I forget, I don't think I confirmed, but I think it's tomorrow. Anyway, we're trying to get Lori Gill to speak at our virtual event, and that's who's hosting the conference up in Canada. And so Monique's going up there, I believe, in July, and I want to go next April. So sort of planning on doing that. I'm really excited. I want to share this email with you guys really quick from Heather. Here we go. I hope this works. Okay. So emotional abuse. Emotional abuse includes the following: witnessing domestic violence, parental verbal abuse, parental emotional manipulation, peer verbal abuse, peer emotional manipulation, and emotional abuse is the greatest risk factor for the development of depressive and anxiety disorders. It's a greater risk factor than physical or sexual abuse or even neglect. So this is information that has been shared by Heather Tuba, who's an advocate, a fierce advocate in our community. And they're from her notes that she took at this trauma conference up in Canada over by the trauma conference she attended is over by Niagara Falls. So it's over on the east side of Canada. And there is a doctor who was a guest speaker Oh no, I'm so bummed that it's blurry. What a bummer. Oh, in Toronto. Thank you so much, Heather. So in Toronto, that's where this conference is, and Dr. Martin Teicher from the Department of Developmental Biopsychiatry from Harvard Medical School. He's the person who, it was part of his presentation, Dr. Martin Teicher. And again, Department of Developmental Biopsychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He's the gentleman who actually shared, and these are from Heather's notes from the trauma conference. So I'm gonna go right now, which, by the way, how neat would it be if a whole bunch of us got to attend this trauma conference? I mean, you don't have to be a helping professional. You don't have to be a certified professional coach. You don't have to be a, hey Ray, I'm so excited you joined. Welcome, welcome. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a master's level therapist. You don't have to be a licensed clinical social worker. You only have to be you and be interested and care about advocating for yourself and for others if you want to attend this conference. So it's in Toronto and it's twice a year, and I'm really excited to go. So that would be amazing. But I want to head over right now to all of the hashtag if my wounds were visible comments, and just, I want to hear your heart. I want to hear you. I want to hear you tell me, Athena, if my wounds were visible, then maybe I wouldn't struggle so much. Or if my wounds were visible, this would have happened instead of this. I would love to just hear your heart. And I'm assuming, and I bet you guys have shared a lot behind the scenes while I've been sharing the screen shares and doing the teaching portion. I'm just gonna go over now, and I just want to support you guys, and I want to just send you high fives, and I want to encourage you, and I want to validate you and answer your questions. So here we go, guys. Oh my goodness, there's a lot. Oh, there's a lot. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. Sabra. Oh, Matt, can you please remind me how to pronounce Sabra's name? Because I'm mispronouncing Ms. Kane's name, and I don't want to mispronounce her name. I think it's Sabra, if I'm not mistaken. Sabra says, if my wounds were visible, no one could deny what happened to me. Joey says, if my wounds were visible, people would see why it's taking me so long to heal and stop saying, just get over it. And maybe my teachers, when I was in school, could have prevented it from happening. Amanda says, if my wounds were visible, I would have had the opportunity to learn what healthy boundaries and healthy relationships look like. Me too, Amanda. Jack says, I'm still struggling to really come to grips with my mother abusing me in a narcissistic way. Does it get better? Well, Jack, thank you for asking that question. I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with that question. I don't want to say that it gets better. I do want to say that you will learn to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. Sabra, thank you so much. Thank you. Like a saber-toothed tiger. Yes, thank you. Sabra, thank you so much. I want to pronounce your name correctly. So Jack, it doesn't necessarily get better, but I will say that over time, as we choose to do the hard work, as we choose to heal, and as we choose to dig into the deeper areas of our healing journey, we learn to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. And it hurts less over time at moments. And then at moments it hurts even more. So I don't want to say it gets better, but we do learn to bear the weight of it skillfully. And for me personally, you guys know I'm a woman of faith. My faith journey, my faith was just crushed and rocked in so many different ways, but it's strengthened my faith, if that makes any sense. I know it's very counterintuitive to say that this journey has strengthened my faith, but I don't believe that my faith was ever tested. I had this big faith in God and this big faith that God could do anything and that he was amazing. And I knew for certain that my life had been transformed supernaturally But my faith had never been tested until I began to fully accept the reality of my abuse and the multiple different channels that my abuse was perpetrated, in the ways it was perpetrated on me, and the different people that it came from, the ways I was manipulated, the lies I was told, the cover up after cover up after cover up after cover up. My faith was tested in ways that I wouldn't wish on anyone. And ultimately, I have found peace in believing in something bigger than myself. And I know that's not the same for everyone, especially with all of the religious abuse that goes on in our community, and the cult abuse and the ritual abuse and just all of it. It is just so devastating. And it makes it difficult for survivors to believe in anything bigger than themselves, because then you would have to reconcile, well, if there is something bigger than me, then where were they? And the reality for me in my journey has been to come to grips with the fact that my higher power was there, but unfortunately, everyone has a free will choice, and the people in my life, the cards I was dealt, the family I was dealt, the situation I was born into, the free will choice that they had one choice. And what they used up their free will choice on is to allow people to exploit me, trade me, give me away, abuse me, use me, and nearly kill me. And that was what their free will choice was used on. And that was devastating for me to grasp, and that I wasn't worth saving. And that was painful. But I have learned to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. Hi, Kimmy. I'm so excited you're here. I have learned to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. And so I won't say that it's gotten better, but I will say that my faith has been strengthened. It's been tested. It's been through fire. It's been through everything. And I do feel a little bit more rock solid, if you will, in my faith after all of the realities have sort of set in, and I'm looking at it for what it is, and looking at it for, like, you know, God didn't come down here and sexually abuse me. And, you know, God didn't pimp me out to people so they could get manicures and pedicures. And God didn't give me away to his family members. Like, no, those were my family members that did that. God didn't sit by while I was abused and manipulated and bullied and beaten and neglected and hungry and just treated poorly and forced to work outside in the sun and pull weeds, and when everybody else was going to birthday parties. Like, God didn't do those things. No, I can tell you right now who did those things, and they all have names, and they're all humans that had a free will choice. And that's where my anger is at. It used to be at God. I used to be pissed. I used to be very angry with God. And you know what? It took a really long time for me to, like, call it what it was. It was easier. Here we go. This is all I will say right now. It was easier for me to be mad at God because that's a thing. You know, being mad at God is a thing. And it was easier for me to be mad at him and blame him for all the bad stuff than to face the reality that the people I loved and trusted and cared for betrayed me and used me and abused me and pimped me out and tortured me and beat me and made sure that I suffered every single day. It was easier for me to be mad at God than to accept all of that truth. So that's where I'm coming from here today. And I'm glad you asked that question, Jack, because does it get better? No. But I have learned to bear the weight of the pain skillfully, and I will continue to bear the weight of this pain skillfully. Simi says, I felt the same way. I learned that God understood my anger and he loved me anyway. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot easier for me to be pissed off at God than to accept the reality of what happened within my family unit, because my mommy was supposed to love me and my daddy was supposed to protect me. And my aunties and my uncles and my cousins, they were all supposed to love me and like me. And my teachers were supposed to do the right thing. And the police were supposed to do the right thing. And guess what? All those fuckers failed. All of them. Because they're human, and that's what humans do. They fail. So pardon the language. Sorry if I triggered anybody with my language. F-bombs kind of trigger me sometimes, so I really am sorry if I triggered anybody. But thanks for asking that question. Amanda says, if my wounds were visible, it would be a picture of a small girl curled up in a ball, protecting herself with her heart and her self-esteem carved out of her. Her heart and her self-esteem carved out of her. Wow, what imagery. If Amanda's wounds were visible, everyone would see a picture of a small girl curled up in a ball, protecting herself with her heart and her self-esteem carved out of her. Yeah, Stu says thumbs up. Yes, exactly. Hey, Greg, or Gegarina, nice to meet you. Nice to see you. I'm so happy you're here. I agree, Amanda, me too. Oh, hey, I got hearts for the F-bomb. I thought I was going to trigger people. Yay, I got hearts for the F-bomb. Julie says, if my wounds were visible, nobody would tell me I should be over it by now. Amanda has a question. She says, what are some signs or symptoms that we are healing from narcissistic abuse or we have healed from it? I am so happy you asked that, Amanda, because I'm going to be popping up a screen share in just a little bit, and I'm going to share that with you, if that's okay. I'm going to go through, Amanda, you're on YouTube right now. So I'm going to go through the rest of these comments and questions, and then I'll pop up that screen share. Because we're sharing a message of hope here. Right? I want to answer that question and give you all some hope. First, I just need a drink really quick. Hold on. Thank you so much. I'm very thirsty. Hey, Vinny. I'm so excited to see you, Vinny. Vinny's over on Twitter right now. Usually Vinny is over here on Periscope. I am hoping that Vinny is still here because she sent this message like a half an hour ago. So maybe she's not here anymore. Vinny says, if my wounds were visible, you would feel mentally overcrowded. Yeah. T says, if my wounds were visible, maybe my mom would have believed me when I asked her to take me away. Yes. Katie Welch up on Facebook says, if my wounds were visible, people would understand me better, especially my family. Yeah. John Harvey says, if my wounds were visible, people would have understood me better. Yeah. Dawn, oh my gosh, Dawn, you're here. I love it that you're here. It's so good to see you. Dawn says, no, if my wounds were visible, no one would act jealous toward me. Yeah, exactly. I had that too. My aunts and my uncles, they used to tell me, they were the must be nicers. Must be nice. Must be nice, Athena, to be the only child. Hey, Grace Hope, I'm so excited to see you. Welcome, welcome, and thanks for all the hearts, you guys, and thank you for inviting your folks. You guys are so amazing. So many people are going to be helped. Yay, because of you and you and you. So, yeah, Dawn, this is a Me Too moment because I had all my aunts and uncles telling me, oh, it must be nice. Now, mind you, all of my aunts and uncles were one of 7. And there was poverty going on. And so when there's less than, and you're one of 7, like, you got to hurry up and eat. You don't always have good clothing. It's a bad situation. Hey, Service Puppy. IT, it's so good to see you. I'm so happy you're here. So yeah, Dawn, I had the must be nicers. Everything, no matter what, must be nice, must be nice. If I managed to keep it together and get good grades, it was must be nice that you can get good grades. Must be nice that you have an education. We only got to go to school till 7th grade or whatever. You know, it's just like, it was just, ugh. And they were all very jealous of me and they took it out of me. They scapegoated me and they made sure that I got bullied whenever possible because it must be nice, you know? But if my wounds were visible, no one would have been jealous towards me either, Dawn. A Cope says, if my wounds were visible, maybe I could have been a child. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Dominique says, if my wounds were visible, people would wonder how I managed to stay alive for so long. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, Dominique. I'm so happy to see you. I'm always so happy to see you, but I'm really happy that you're here for this conversation because I have the privilege of knowing a little bit of your backstory, and I'm so happy you're here. Vinny, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your If My Wounds Were Visible. Thank you. August says, if my wounds were visible, people would believe me and they would help me get out. Yeah, me too, August. Jamie says, if my wounds were visible, I would not have suffered all alone all this time. Me too, Jamie. Dominique says, if my wounds were visible, I would never have to endure the what's wrong with you question. Yeah. Kira says, if my wounds were visible, the police and my nuns would have believed me too, and they would have not have given me back to my mom. Yeah. Same here, Kira, minus the nuns. Although I did go to catechism. I was forced to go to catechism. Although you guys, like, when I got to go to church, like, it was a good thing for me. It was a place where I found refuge. I didn't have the abuse that I was enduring and incurring and that was perpetrated upon me was not by the people at the church. They were the ones where I found the solace and the hope and the kindness, which is very opposite and flipped for a lot of people in our community. But for me, Shy Sharon says, if my wounds were visible, someone would have protected me. Me too, Sharon. Me too. You're not alone. Yeah, so for me, Kira, if my wounds were visible, the police would have believed me and they would not have given me back to my mom. Yes, 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 100%. But for you, the nuns were involved as well, which is a twisted deal. And it means that there's not really a place for you to find solace and hope and peace because there's that whole twisted religious part of it, which just messes up our recovery and makes it way more complicated. Complicated grief, complex trauma. Complicated grief is very hard to process because it's complicated. But I mean, complex trauma, complicated grief, you combine everything and then you add in the whole religious factor and man, is it painful for so many people. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so excited to see you, Service Puppy. So yeah, Kira, I'm so excited you shared because yes, 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 you're not alone. Kira also says, if my wounds were visible, both of my parents would have been forced to get help. Yeah. Hey, Paul, I'm so excited you're here, Paul. Welcome. I'm not sure if I've said hi to you on a live stream before, but if not, I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for being here up on Facebook. Paul says, if my wounds were visible, I would be unrecognizable. Yeah. Me too, Paul. Wow, that hit me like right in the throat and in the solar plexus. Service Puppy says, if my wounds were visible, the neighbors would have called and my dad would have never brought me back. Same here. We must have grown up like in the same house. A lot of what you say, like I resonate with, Service Puppy. Yeah, Paul, that's definitely a me too. I would be unrecognizable. Hi again, Vinny. Thanks for sharing, Paul. Super powerful, and I resonate with that so deeply. I would definitely be unrecognizable. If my wounds were visible, I would be unrecognizable. Hi, Vinny. Katie Welch says, if my wounds were visible, my family and my friends would understand what I'm actually going through and why I hide my body. Ooh, that's a deep one, Katie. That's a Me Too moment also. I struggle also. Yeah. Yeah, Shivers is right. Everybody's saying hi to Vinny. Yay! Oh, I'm so happy, Vinny. This hashtag, if my wounds were visible, is actually part of leading up to World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, 2nd annual. And it's also the 2nd Healing from Narcissistic Abuse Virtual Summit being hosted here on Trauma Recovery University's YouTube channel. And I'm going to be here on Periscope and I'm going to be up on Facebook Live. And it's going to happen all day on June 1st. And then if you sign up on WNAAD.com, you get all of the expert interviews that we're recording behind the scenes and editing and then releasing. We're emailing everybody. So it's going to be so fun. Katie Welch, I hide my body too. Up there on Facebook, Katie. I do. I hide my body, and I've done it for quite some time. And I go back and I even see in my yearbook, oh my gosh, all the way back to high school. Even previously, even prior to high school, even middle school. And I saw a picture of me from elementary school and I was like, oh my goodness, like this body dysmorphia, this whole body image issue, food issue, just issues galore, full subscription of issues. Like all of it has been going on like my entire life, you know? So I resonate deeply with that, Katie, and I'm so happy that you shared. And thanks for sharing again, Paul, because man, I firmly believe that what Paul shared, if my wounds were visible, I would be unrecognizable. I believe that's a lot of us. Service Puppy says, if my wounds were visible, people would understand why I still suffer and why I hide my body. Yes. Simi says, if our wounds were visible, the word triggered wouldn't be used so casually. Oh my gosh. On that topic really quick, you guys, on this whole trigger warning like topic and how people just roll their eyes at it and it's no big deal. I actually have a family member. It's one of my only family members that I even keep in touch with. And there was a situation going on at the college that they were attending or something. Maybe it was like night classes or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was there were some trigger warnings going on. Hey, Ametka, nice to have you here. Welcome. And this family member of mine was making fun of the fact that people were triggered by something and saying, thank you for all the hearts, you guys. You guys are amazing. And she was saying, wow, I thought this was college, not kindergarten. And just minimizing and making fun of. Yeah, right? Like, you guys, PTSD is flipping real. Like, if there was somebody that had no arms and no legs because they got hit by a roadside bomb or something happened to them overseas and they were a veteran and it was like classic PTSD that happens in war, and just something that people could see, like if all of our wounds were visible, that's one of my hashtags, you guys. If all of our wounds were visible, my cousin wouldn't be ignorant and make jokes about trigger warnings. And that, oh, I thought this was college, not kindergarten. Because PTSD is real, and if there are adults that find soothing in gathering together with one another, or adult coloring books, or calming rooms, or lavender, or certain types of tea, or certain types of music, or meditation, or different art therapies and modalities, or going for a walk, or the sounds of waves, or just different grounding techniques, or whatever it is that helps people with their PTSD, if our wounds were visible, people like that family member of mine wouldn't be making fun of everybody. Matt says, if someone minimizes PTSD, they probably couldn't handle living with it. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for all the hearts. And thanks for inviting all your friends, and for inviting all your followers, and for retweeting. And I'm just so appreciative of all of it, you guys. There's so many people we're going to help. This is amazing. So Vinny was saying, great hashtag topic. It's actually part of World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day every year on June 1st. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. And it's just exciting. Really, really exciting. So thanks for taking part in all this, you guys. We're going to continue to use this hashtag all through the month of June. So, oops, sorry about that ding, you guys. Okay, here we go. Matt says, if my wounds were visible, the scars would not be internal only. Yeah, me too. Most definitely. Vinny says, if my wounds were visible, you would not tell me to just let go of the past. Yeah, same here. A Cope says, here on YouTube, if my wounds were visible, you wouldn't wonder why some days functioning is nearly impossible. That's a big Me Too moment too. I've been functioning pretty well lately, but man, some days are way harder than others. Some days it is nearly impossible. I agree with you. Grace Hope says, if my wounds were visible, you wouldn't tell me to pray harder. You would know that I have been praying hard my whole life. Yeah. I was having this conversation. I had the opportunity to have lunch with these missionaries on Sunday. They're missionaries in Tanzania. And pause on that story. Simi says, if my wounds are visible, I think they would be easier to deal with. Ooh, that's true, Simi. That's very, very true. I totally agree. Visible wounds seem like they are easier to deal with because people actually like get it, you know, they don't understand. But I got the opportunity, you guys. Grace Hope, this is on the topic of what you were saying about if my wounds are visible, you wouldn't tell me to pray harder. You would know that I've been praying hard my whole life. So I got to have lunch with these missionaries. They happen to be, it's the sister of a friend of mine and his sister's husband. And they're missionaries in Tanzania. And we got on the topic of just the disservice that the church as a whole does for the community when they minimize people's trauma. And hi, 5370. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for all the hearts on Periscope, you guys. But the disservice that the church is doing for the community is just, it's devastating. And quite frankly, it's embarrassing to be associated with the body of Christ. It's embarrassing to be associated with the church, the body, the church as a whole. And welcome back, Jess. It's embarrassing, quite frankly, because the disservice that the church is doing to the community at large is so, it's devastating because people will come up, they will attend a church service, or they'll come up for prayer, or they will come up and share something that's happened to them, like a real trauma, like there was a rape, or there was childhood sexual abuse, or there was emotional abuse, there's physical abuse, and some sort of domestic violence, or what have you. There's something that's going on, and what they're told is that they just need to pray, or if they've prayed, then the reason bad things are happening to them is because there must be some sort of hidden sin in their life, and that's why they're still struggling with mental illness. And I just want to like, thank you. Someone just told me, don't ever lose your realness. I won't. Even when I get the hate mail, I won't. But the disservice that the church is doing to the community is so incredible. It is a bunch of bullshit. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Because, you know, mental illness, newsflash, the brain is an organ. If someone were struggling with like brain damage from a car accident, or they went somewhere and something happened and they had to, like, for instance, one of our friends had to have both of his legs amputated, and then he actually passed away. But no one told him, well, you know, the reason you had to have those legs amputated is because there must be some hidden sin in your life. Or, you know, the reason that you're struggling with that type 1 diabetes and you were born with it is because there must be some hidden sin in your life. Or, you know, the reason that you're struggling with multiple sclerosis and you're bound to a wheelchair for the last 60 years, there must be some hidden sin in your life. You just need to pray more. You need to be delivered. That's what needs to happen. Now, you guys, I am not poo-pooing on deliverance ministry. I'm not poo-pooing on prayer. I'm not poo-pooing on the body of Christ. I'm not poo-pooing on the church. I'm not poo-pooing on God. I'm not. What I do have a problem with is that we claim to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We claim to be the church. Oh, it's okay. We claim to be doing good in the world and to be helping people. But when those people that are suffering and hurting, and they're coming up and they're sharing their trauma with us, and their pain and their loss and their grief and their struggles and just what they're going through, when we stick a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, we do everyone a disservice. And I'm sorry, but you misrepresent God is what's really happening. If you're in a church and someone comes up for prayer and you just slap on a scripture and you just give them a scripture, you just tell them they need to pray more, or that there must be hidden sin in their life, or they just whatever, and you just minimize their whole problem that they came up with, all their burdens, into this one little scripture that you want to just stick on like a Band-Aid when they're hemorrhaging out of all orifices, shame on you. Shame on us that are doing that. Not shame on this person, it took them months, maybe years, to get the courage to not only come to church, but actually walk forward and ask for prayer. And then we tell them they have hidden sin, they just need to be delivered, or we give them a scripture and we minimize their truth and we don't listen to them. And it's just wrong, 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 wrong. It's wrong in every way. And so, yeah, or yeah, exactly. So I just want to just drive this home, what Grace Hope mentioned. Grace Hope says, if my wounds were visible, you wouldn't tell me to pray harder, and you would know that I had been praying hard my whole life. You know, some people that live with mental illness, some people that live with clinical depression, hi Arundel Lee, it's so good. It's Leah, Arundel Leah. It's wonderful to meet you. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. You know, when we tell people that are struggling with clinical depression or PTSD or complex PTSD, or we tell people who are living with any type of invisible illness, Crohn's disease, Lyme disease, any type of chronic pain, when we tell them that they just need to pray harder, we're doing everyone a disservice. Hi, Leah. It's my first time. Oh, it's your first time, Leah. Oh, it's like my fourth time being here, live on Periscope. So I'm so excited you're here. Welcome, welcome. We are discussing the invisible wounds of emotional abuse, and I am broadcasting live on YouTube and Roku TV, and I'm broadcasting live on Facebook, and I'm so excited you're here. Leah is a beautiful name. I agree. Hey, Charlie. I'm so excited you're over on Periscope. Thanks for all the hearts. Oh my goodness. So yeah, Grace Hope, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and that's actually very much a hot topic for me. It's just one of my buttons. T says, if my wounds were visible, others would see that would see what he does to me, and then he might stop coming back. I'm so sorry, T. I need you guys to know that there are some people that are still stuck in abusive situations and they don't have the wherewithal to get out. And that's another thing, you know, if our wounds were visible, people wouldn't just think that we asked for it. If our wounds were visible, people wouldn't think that we choose to stay in abusive relationships. If our wounds were visible, people wouldn't say that, you know, oh, well, you just need to do this or you should do that. Bree and I were interviewing a practitioner, one of the experts that's speaking for the summit, and he said, oh, Leah, I'm so sorry. Leah says that she just got out of a really abusive relationship. I'm so sorry. I've been there, Leah. I was involved with domestic violence myself for years and years and years. It was horrific. And I grew up in a domestic violence situation, so it was all I really knew. I didn't know that it was horrific when it was horrific because it wasn't as bad as my upbringing, if that makes any sense. So you're not alone. You're in a good place here with us. This is a safe spot for you. But, you know, you guys, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. But we were talking to this gentleman that we were interviewing. Bree and I were interviewing him for the summit, and we asked him a question about, you know, what would he like to share with our listeners who have survived a narcissistic relationship, you know, with tremendous emotional abuse. And, you know, he was sharing his heart and sharing what he would like to share. I don't want to give you any spoiler alerts because it's just going to be amazing interviews. You guys are going to love all the interviews. So, and then I said, what would you say to the member of my community that has gone to therapy and that has gone to counseling or has gone to see a helping professional, and they've been told that they're making it up, or they're a malingerer, or they just need to do this, or they should be better by now, they should be healing faster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he was so almost angered by the fact that that's actually going on. And he said, well, first of all, I would tell them to what I would have them put their hand on their face and move their hand down their face and say that they need to wipe the should off of their face. And he said, you know what should sounds like, right? I'm like, yes. So if any helping professional out there who is not trauma informed, because if they are trauma informed, they would never do this. Thanks for all the hearts, guys. Hey, Hepkakan, welcome, welcome. Okay. Ignore the trolls, everyone. So yeah, and what he was saying is I would tell them to wipe the should right off of wipe the should off of their face, because you know what should sounds like. And it was really great to know that there was this practitioner. And so for any of you out there who are not trauma, and you know, you're going to a practitioner who's not trauma informed, and they're telling you that you should be healing better, or you should be healing faster, or you should be, you know, fill in the blank. You don't have to receive those messages. You do not have to internalize those messages from these practitioners who are not trauma informed, for sure. It's, hey, I'm so excited you're here. Hi, Edie to Inspire. Hi, Wicked Forever. It's so good to have you. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for all the hearts. Thanks, Lily. Thanks for all the hearts. Oh my goodness, it's Sue. Hi, Sue. You guys, Sue is here. Shiny Blue Dress is here. Oh my goodness, it's so good to have you. Elaine, is that you? I think that's Elaine. Oh my goodness. Hey guys, thanks so much. Oh, Sue is on a tea break. She's on the night shift, of course. Sue's amazing, you guys. She's a fierce advocate. Oh my goodness, this is so awesome. Okay, so Dominique says, if my wounds were visible, I could enjoy my passion for acting because no one would use it to minimize my abuse. Ooh, Dominique, I just wish I could just send you so many high fives and hugs and support and validation, because I've seen you do some acting and some, you know, just performance, and I've seen you be in your element. I remember for my birthday, and I just want to encourage you to chase after that with all your heart, because you're just in your element. It's just amazing. It really is. And I hope Dominique is still here. I mean, she sent that message like a half hour ago, so I don't know if Dominique is still here. Dang it, right? Yeah, you guys remember Dominique on my birthday? It was amazing. Okay, so Kira says, if my wounds were visible, the police wouldn't have given me back to my mom when I ran away. Same here, Kira. You're not alone, most definitely. Hey, Hunter. I'm so happy you're here. If my wounds had been visible, I would have bled on my abuser and his enabler's hands, and then told an adult to guilt them and protect other victims from getting hurt. Yes. Yes. Yes, we would have bled all over the place if our wounds were visible. I agree, Hunter. That's a powerful visual. Paul says, if my wounds were visible from childhood, I would be healed by now. Yeah. Me too, Paul. Me too. Most definitely. Sabra says, Athena, it's just like a saber-toothed tiger. That was my nickname, actually, so if that helps to remember. Oh, yay. I'm just going to call you saber-toothed tiger. Saber-toothed tiger. I love it. Grace Hope says, if my wounds were visible, she wouldn't have received a Mother of the Year award. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Grace. Oh my goodness. Marianne says, if my wounds were visible, I know, right? Wow. If my wounds were visible, Marianne says, maybe I could have gotten the help I needed to get over 50 years ago. I'm so happy you're here, Marianne. That is a powerful statement. Marianne says, if my wounds were visible, maybe I could have gotten the help I needed to get 50 years ago. I'm so happy you're here with us now. So happy you're here with us now. I know it's 50 years later. I wish it was sooner also. I really do. I'm so happy you're here, though. Yes, Athena is the name of a Greek goddess of wisdom. She's also the Greek goddess of war and basket weaving, and she's kind of a mishmash of goddesses. There's like basket weaving, handicraft, war, and wisdom, and like it's all she according to mythology, Greek mythology, she comes from the head of her father Zeus. I know, right? It's very funny. She's a mishmash of goddesses, but she's so funny. Oh, Sammy says she's cool like you. Thank you. I haven't tried basket weaving yet, but you know. Katie says, if my wounds were visible, I would know how to handle my negative and how to be able to see that I don't mean to hurt other people because I don't know how to handle a positive relationship. You know what, Katie? That's a big that's a big light bulb moment for a lot of people. Most definitely. Because if we don't have healthy relationships modeled for us, how are we going to cultivate them in adulthood? Thanks for all the hearts on Periscope, you guys. Hey, Sahil Durham 81. Oh, Sue is asking me to tweet out the powerful thing I said about learning to cope with the pain. I'm not able to tweet right now, Sue, but I will say it again, and anyone can. Where's Poppy? Poppy makes the best memes. Oh, I want Poppy to make one of those memes that's like the GIF or the GIF. It's amazing. So what I said is, our pain doesn't go away from narcissistic abuse. Our pain doesn't go away. Yes, Wicked Forever says you attract what you know, relationship-wise. Yes, if you're raised in abuse, you're going to attract abuse. You're going to seek out what is familiar. So to answer Sue's question, it's regarding our pain. Like, does the pain from it was sparked by something that Jack had asked, which is, does it get better? Like, does it get easier? Does it get better? And that's dealing with narcissistic abuse in childhood. And what I said is, no, it doesn't get easier and it doesn't get better, but we learn to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. We learn to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. I don't know how to word that in a way that would make it like meme-worthy. Or you learn how to deal, which is what Wicked Forever says. That's a good way to put it too. It just sounds so much more like fancy when you say you learn to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. But yeah, you learn to deal. Our pain does not go away, but we learn to bear the weight of the pain skillfully. Perfectly put. Yes, Sue. Poppy has made some quotes like with my name on them, and she turned them into memes, and maybe I can get her to make me one of those. I had a client that asked me to make her one of that exact phrase because that phrase lit a light bulb for her. It was like something that she really needed to hear. So maybe I will ask Poppy to do that, and I will tweet it out, and I will tag you, Sue. Yeah, so Katie, regarding handling a positive relationship, it is really difficult to handle a positive relationship if all that was modeled for us was abusive relationships. Because anything positive that comes along is going to feel scary because it's unfamiliar. And so we seek after what is familiar. Like if someone said, hey, would you like to try a Stegosaurus? And you'd be like, Stegosaurus? I've never tried a Stegosaurus. What does it taste like? Oh, you know, it tastes like chicken. And since you've tasted chicken, you're like, oh, well, if it tastes like chicken, then yeah, I'll try a Stegosaurus. Like, I think that's straight up out of the Flintstones right there. Like, I dug deep for that one. So what I'm saying is, Katie Welch, is that if someone offered you a bite of something and you're like, I've never tried that before, what's it going to taste like? And they're like, oh, it tastes like chicken, and you like chicken or you're familiar with chicken, you'd be like, okay, I'll try that because you're familiar with it. But if you're raised in abuse and you're looking at relationships and you're possibly contemplating getting into interpersonal relationships, whether it's with a boss or a friend or a sibling or a coworker or even, you know, a romantic relationship, and it's something you've never encountered before, it's like a Stegosaurus, or it's something that you've like never heard of or never seen, you're going to tend to shy away from that, and you're going to choose something that's a little bit more familiar, you know, which is abuse if you grew up in abuse. So even if it's less abusive, even if you're like, I grew up in abuse and I never want abuse in my life, that you're going to choose something that's less abusive, but there are still going to be traces of that abuse because it's difficult to get that out of your system if it's all you've ever known. So I hope that's helpful for you, Katie. Dominique says, if my wounds were visible, people would understand why I have panic attacks or why I zone out when I'm being evaluated. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a common one, Dominique. Oh my goodness, you're not alone. Julie says, if my wounds were visible, I would still turn to God to support, but there would be more people I could turn to here on earth too. Yeah, that's true. Grace Hope says, if my wounds were visible, I wouldn't have to have secrets. You would know and you would understand. Yes, that's powerful, Grace. John Harvey says, if my wounds were visible, people could understand why I have a hard time trusting someone. Yes, yes, yes. Charlie says, if my wounds were visible, people would have seen my open wounds as well as felt them. I could have started healing sooner. Yes, that's powerful, Charlie. Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I totally agree. Paul Ward says, great to hear your faith is powerful. I've learned that God knows and never leaves us through all of our abuses. He is faithful. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I have come to believe and understand and know to be true. It's painful for me to share this statistic with you all, but I once sent out information to our community asking people, this is way back, like when our community first started, and asking people what percentage of them or how many of them had experienced abuse by either A, clergy member, or B, someone who professed to be, you know, someone with faith in God, or who was a Christian, or who was, you know, professed to have a relationship with God. And sadly, it was over 60%. So the number of people in our community is over 60% who have had that avenue of healing that would help them to have peace, that faith in a higher power, or that, you know, belief that helped them to discover peace or heal or whatever. They would be able to hand over their burdens to someone bigger than themselves. That's almost been stripped away from them and tainted and ruined and destroyed because 62% of them were either abused in the church or by someone who professed to have a relationship with God. And that is devastating to me personally, just knowing how instrumental and how big of a deal my faith has been in my healing journey. And I just can't even wrap my head around it. And it's just devastating to me, which is why I'm so passionate about just providing this safe space for everybody, you know, where, you know, they don't have to go to a church and then and be triggered the whole time and then be minimized and treated horribly. And, you know, they can just come here and they're not ever going to be treated that way, no matter what faith background they come from. If they have no faith at all, they have nothing, like they're going to come here and they're going to feel safe, and they're going to feel validated, and they're going to feel loved, and they're going to feel accepted, and they're going to feel cared for, and they're going to feel like they can just be themselves. You know, I'm just really passionate about that. But thank you so much for sharing that, Paul. That means a lot to me. Vinny says, I lost my place. Did I already read Vinny's? No. Vinny says, if my wounds were visible, apathetic people would still be apathetic people. Ooh, that's so true. That is so true. That's a hard one. That's really painful. I wrote this poem one time, Vinny, about how there was a toxic cocktail of drugs, alcohol, and apathy, which caused my entire reality of my childhood. And it was just a really devastating and painful poem. It was very poignant and just, you know, dark, but it's so true. That toxic cocktail of drugs, alcohol, apathy, selfishness. I forget what else I wrote, but anyway, yes, 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 Vinny, yes, yes. Joey says, how do I try to explain to someone that they are being narcissistic? Okay, so happy someone asked this. Guess what? Someone who is being narcissistic, they either know it and they don't care, or they will twist it on you and they will stab you with it. They will make you the bad guy because they'll say, I was just trying to be I was just trying to be thoughtful, and I just care about you, and I can't believe you're just so awful. So I just want, you know, you guys, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a master's level therapist. I'm not a licensed clinical social worker, but I'm going to tell you right now that it is not in your best interest to try to convince narcissists that they are narcissists, because they just don't care. Or how did Richard Grandin put it a couple years ago? I said, Richard, can you please explain to people here in our community how important it is to call abuse abuse, and just how it's important, if they're ever going to heal, they need to call abuse abuse. If it's narcissistic abuse, it's narcissistic abuse. It's not just, well, or this or whatever. And he just looked at me. It's during the summit, and he goes, well, of course. It's like the narcissist is like, oh, make sure you call the car the car. Yes, a car is a car. Yes, ice cream is ice cream. Yes, a pencil is a pencil. Like, to them, like, they don't care. Like, of course you have to call abuse abuse. It's just what you have to do if you're going to heal. But I do not recommend, Joey, that you try convincing someone or explaining to them that they're being narcissistic. I don't recommend doing that. If someone else here has found that has helped them, then please post that in the comments and share. Oh, Elaine says, Joey, write this down, Joey. Elaine says to purchase the book or give the book called Without Conscience. Give the person the book or read the book. Oh, they won't buy it. Simi says they won't buy the book. Probably true. There's a book called Without Conscience. Yeah, thanks, Elaine. You're amazing. Let's see here. Willow, I'm so happy you're here. Willow says, if it turns out that I was sold to traffickers and not, in fact, abducted, would my parents or would my parent be narcissists? I don't know whether or not to search for my father. Someone who would sell their child or trade them or give them away for goods and services is disturbed. They have mental problems, and they are at the very, very, very least self-absorbed and without conscience, and at the very worst, predatory and exploitative. So, Willow, I cannot in good conscience recommend that you search for the person who possibly sold you to traffickers. If you were abducted, it's a whole nother thing. Parents, loving parents all day, every day, it happens. Their children get, yeah, they're psychopathic. Exactly. Elaine said they're psychopathic. Well-meaning and loving parents across the globe have their children taken from them and had horrible things happen to their children, and they didn't do it on purpose to their children. I think anger makes a narcissist. What do you think? No, I don't think anger makes a narcissist. Ooh, my devices are getting ready to die. This is it. Oh, you know why? Because it's 90 minutes. It's like we're coming up at the end of our broadcast. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not sure that anger makes a narcissist. Like, it depends on what type of a narcissist they are. There are overt narcissists. There are covert. Oh, childhood anger. Oh, creates the split, which causes them to create a false self, which causes narcissistic personality disorder or psychopathy or antisocial. I believe that's what you're saying, Queen Ladybug Star, because yes, okay, I'm there. We're on the same page. Yes, yes, yes. Narcissists are created out of trauma. They're created, they've been in a traumatic situation, and sadly, there was a split. Hey, Elle Brooks, I'm so excited you're here. Thanks for all the hearts, you guys, and for inviting your followers and for retweeting. You're amazing. My devices are going to die because we are about out of time. So, oh, you escaped. Queen Lady Bugstar escaped a narcissist with her life after 23 years. I'm so happy that you made it out. Congratulations that you're even alive. It took you a lot. You're so smart, and you are so skillful, and you are so brave. And I just want to commend you, because it takes a lot to get out after 23 years. I did the same thing after 23 years. So good for you. And mine was a parental situation. Yes. Yeah, congratulations. You're amazing. I'm glad you're alive. So I'm going to read as many more as I possibly can, you guys. Willow, if you were abducted, then yes, search for your father. But if you found out that you were sold to traffickers, which if you were, I'm so sorry. I happen to know what it feels like to be traded and pimped out and sort of passed around, you know, like a hot potato or whatever. And it's painful. Like, that's just devastatingly painful. It's soul crushing. So, but if you were trafficked or you were sold to traffickers, I cannot recommend in good conscience that you search for that person, because they will not own it. They will not understand the gravity of what they've done to you, and it will only damage you further, and it will cause you secondary trauma, and it will halt your healing process or unwind the progress you've made, and you will be so devastated. So I cannot in good conscience tell you that that's what you should do. But I love you, Willow, and I'm so happy you're here. Jesse says, if my wounds were visible, people would have believed me. The tears would have had a voice, and I wouldn't have been scapegoated. Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I'm there with you, Jesse. Jess says, if my wounds were visible, my DID would literally see me morph into different human beings, or see me grow into a second person from nothing. Exactly. Yes, Jess. I agree. Vinny says, where do triggers end? Listening to religious talk sucks for me, but religious people don't stop talking religion for me. So, where do triggers end? Where do triggers end? I think, again, like, it's kind of like what Jack was saying. Like, Jack was saying, like, does it get better? And I don't think that, like, the things that trigger us, like, it's almost like there's like this resilience that kicks in, and we learn to bear the weight of things skillfully, and things begin to trigger us less. Like, there are certain things that used to trigger me a lot, and then for some reason, just over time, as I've navigated the terrain and just began to really celebrate my wins. Hey, hi, Deborah. I'm so excited you're here. Welcome, welcome. Vinny, like, when we navigate the terrain for a while, like for years and years and years and years, we almost like can anticipate when something is coming up, and we go, oh, because like for instance, a trigger is like when something triggers you, and then it's as though you're in the place where the abuse happened, or it's as though you're in the exact spot where the trauma took place. Like, for instance, like for anyone here that's watching or listening, if you are a Vietnam vet, like we were talking with Stu last week, and if you're a Vietnam vet and there was a lot of shrapnel and things that happened, and there were injuries and the certain sounds or smells that happened when you were at war. When you have something here, when you're not at war, you smell it or you hear it, and it's similar. It takes you back, and you're triggered. It's as though you are there in Vietnam again, and you don't have any frame of reference or even way to gauge that you are not in that place because you're triggered. It's a definition of a trigger. So for me, like, certain things that my husband does or says are very, 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 very triggering for me. But for some reason, like, yes, Sharon says PTSD sucks. I totally agree. Amen. High five. Yes, yes, yes. PTSD sucks. So for me, like, my husband has not ceased to exist, and he still does the things that trigger me. And for some reason, over time, they trigger me less, and I don't go to that place anymore because I've had that conversation with him, or I can see his intent, or I know that he's not like for instance, if you're raised in an environment like I was, where people hurt you on purpose, they hurt you on purpose just to hurt you, like just on purpose. They hurt you just to hurt you because they like to, they're sadistic. And so what I've done previously, I thought my husband was doing these things in a sadistic way, like to hurt me on purpose because I was triggered and I was not able to separate what was triggering me to the place it was triggering me to, and think I was somehow like superimposing my trauma onto my husband. And then I realized over time, as I got to know him and I got to know his character, that he's not sadistic and that he's not sadistically harming me on purpose. He just doesn't know, or it's just him being like himself. Or like I've gotten to know his character over time, and therefore I'm navigating the terrain of our relationship differently. And I'm able to tell that when I get triggered, that he's not sadistically poking at me and harming me on purpose. Oh, Mrs. Babbitt says, I do that too, Athena, mistaking his emotional stuff with my emotional stuff. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Charlie. Yeah, my husband has his own junk and I have my own junk, and we all have our own junk, right, Vinny? But I think just like knowing, like it's easy for us to go like, oh my gosh, I'm in a triggered state right now, and that person is doing this, and I'm feeling very triggered, and it's almost like if like there's like sadism involved or something. But I'm able to sort of separate that now. So I don't know. I don't even know if that was helpful, but I don't even know if that was helpful. But if it wasn't, I'm really sorry. I want it to be helpful. Stu says, if my wounds were visible, you would know who I am. Ooh, that's powerful, Stu. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. You guys, we have 2 minutes left before our 90 minutes is up. Deborah Ann Simperman says, if my wounds were visible, my family would help me get out of my abusive relationship. They believe my abuser. Oh, Deborah, I am so, so, so sorry. I am so sorry, Deborah. I am just hoping that someone is able to help you get out of that abusive relationship. There are so many resources. I want you to be able to reach out to domestic violence hotlines and RAINN, RAINN.org. I want you, if there's something local you could reach out to. It is worth being in a shelter temporarily if you can get out of an abusive relationship. You know who I would love for you guys to reach out to is Lindsay. What is Lindsay's last name now? Oh my goodness. I forget Lindsay's last name. Her Twitter handle used to be Fina Bianco, but it's not now. It's Lindsay. Oh my goodness, I can't think of it. Last one. This is the last hashtag. Simone Williams says, oh, it's a question. It's not a hashtag. It's a question. Simone Williams says, are covert narcissists able to heal? Is it something that is possible? You guys, I have never seen or heard of someone who is truly a narcissist healing. Hi, Adriana. Hi, Adriana. Simone Williams. I have never heard of a narcissist actually healing. Lindsay Fisher. Oh my goodness, it was going to drive me crazy all night. Thank you so much. You guys, I'd love for you to reach out to Lindsay Fisher if you are in a domestic violence situation. She's an amazing resource. I want you to really reach out to her. It would be incredible for you to be able to reach out to her. So Simone Williams, my quick answer is I don't believe so. Covert narcissism is so sadistic. It is just so subtle, and it's like you can't prove it, and there's so much gaslighting and psychological warfare, and it's so painful. It is so, so, so painful because we want the narcissist to heal. Many of us wish that the narcissist would just heal so they could see the love we have for them, the unconditional love that we have for them. Or we wish our narcissist would heal so that they could finally receive the love we have for them. Or we wish the narcissist would heal so that they would know that we forgive them and we just want a relationship with them. And all of that is magical thinking, and sadly, it keeps us stuck and it keeps us sick. So during our Narcissistic Abuse Virtual Summit on World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, Simone Williams, I don't know where you are at, whether you're here on Roku and YouTube, or if you are up on Facebook, or if you are here on Periscope, during World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day on June 1st and throughout the month of June, when we are emailing you different expert interviews, we will be covering this exact question, Simone Williams. Are covert narcissists able to heal? Is it something that is even possible? We will be covering that. We will be discussing what narcissism is, what causes it, can narcissists heal from being narcissists, and just what to do if we're in a narcissistically abusive relationship and what steps to take. And Athena, without meaning to sound critical, how does this help us? How does what help us? I'm hoping this broadcast, I'm so sorry if this broadcast wasn't helpful for you guys. I'm hoping this is helpful for you guys. I thought this would be really helpful, just for everybody to know that they're not alone. So I'm not sure, but I'm so glad that you guys were here. And I hope that this was helpful for you to just be in community with others. And I do believe this is a powerful conversation to be having. I believe that if the world at large knew what was really, really, really going on, if they could see the bruises and the cuts and the blood and the gore and just the soul-destroyingness of narcissistic abuse and emotional abuse and just everything that we've gone through, if the world could see that, then all of us would have been helped. And I believe that it is extremely cathartic and therapeutic to educate the world and to save future survivors so that they're not survivors, so that they actually get rescued. And I believe that it's very important. We want there to be education going out into the world, and just about the pathology of narcissism. I believe that that's really hugely valuable. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for being here. And I just love, my name's Athena Moberg, and I love sharing a message of hope and healing with you guys. And I'm going to be starting another YouTube channel. I have a lot of you asking me for, during these broadcasts, like sending me messages later, like, will you consider praying with us? Will you consider sharing scripture? Will you consider doing like worship songs? Will you consider doing Bible study with us? And what I want to do, out of respect for the huge amount of the community here on this channel, 60%, between 60 and 62%, who incurred religious abuse or cult abuse. So out of respect and courtesy to all of them, I'm not going to be sharing worship songs and scripture and prayer here on this channel. I'm starting another channel. And I will point you in that direction and make sure that you have prayer and Bible study and worship and resources and everything that you need. But I want this to be a space where anyone can come and feel welcome, and they don't have to have any type of faith or anything like that. So hopefully that will be helpful for you, and I will I'll share that with you as it comes up. So thank you so much for being here. Please go to wnaad.com and sign up for World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day and get free access to all of the expert speakers, and just feel validated and affirmed and encouraged, and then gain access to education on the pathology of narcissism so that you can educate yourself and then share that education with others, and then we can help save people that are potentially in a situation where they would be narcissistically abused. So thank you for being here, you guys. I really always appreciate it. And I'll see you next Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Trauma Recovery University. And thank you so much. Bye, everybody.